Good happy Thursday morning. Is Thursday, September 19, 2024. Good morning, it's me, Riley King, and welcome to WRMK Morning News. Let's get started. Right now, we got a jam-packed morning broadcast to get to, so let's get started. First up, travel medical insurance policies can be affordable and convenient if you shop around. Let's take a listen to that report from WMUR News 9.
Sandra Gutierrez faced a health emergency while attending a destination wedding on a Greek island.
When I got to the hospital, I realized it was going to be bigger than what I initially thought.
She was diagnosed with leukemia and stayed in the hospital for weeks.
I didn't factor in cancer treatment in another country. I didn't actually even know what my work insurance covered.
A 2022 survey found that nearly 1 in 4 Americans have faced health issues while traveling abroad.
All right, what's your name?
It can be difficult to get quick help from your health insurance back home, and your policy might not even cover you abroad.
Most U.S. insurers, including Medicare, offer little or no medical coverage outside of the country, which can lead to hefty medical bills if you need care.
To protect yourself, consider a travel medical insurance policy. These plans can cost less than $100 per trip, depending on the provider and what's covered. Just make sure to shop around. Websites like Insure My Trip and Squaremouth make it easy to compare different policies. Pick a provider with strong ratings with the Better Business Bureau and AM Best, a credit rating agency for insurance companies.
Before buying, check the policy for exclusions, deductibles, and coverage limits, and verify that the policy covers your pre-existing conditions and prescriptions.
It's also a good idea to have a policy that covers medical evacuation, especially if you're heading to remote areas with limited access to major hospitals. Sandra wanted to return to the U.S. right away after her diagnosis, but says a medical transport from Greece would have cost her thousands of dollars out of pocket. Now she has this advice for travelers.
If you want the peace of mind and if you can't afford the insurance, get it. It will save you in the long run.
If you're planning an international trip, don't forget to check your passport's expiration date. Many countries require it to be valid for at least 6 months past the date of your trip. Regular processing takes 6 to 8 weeks by mail, but you can speed it up for an extra fee.
Okay, and there you go on that report. New Hampshire woman falls into scalding water while walking off trail in Yellowstone. Let's take a listen to that report.
A New Hampshire woman has third-degree burns after falling into scalding water at Yellowstone National Park. Park officials there say the woman and her husband were walking their dog off trail when she broke through a thin crust over the water. The burns are on her lower leg. She was flown to a hospital in Idaho.
Okay, and there you go on that report. Fire Marshal, police in Ware investigating explosion at a mulch company that left one dead. Let's take a listen to that report from WMUR News 9.
Well, Steve, Monica, police tell us they are in the early stages of their investigation into this, but we watched them on scene today for about 4 hours working to find some answers. Police in Ware confirming one person is dead after an explosion at a mulch company. They say a 911 call came in Wednesday afternoon. The caller reporting they heard something that sounded like an explosion. When investigators got to Haynes Mulch on B&B Lane, they say they found the victim inside.
Upon arrival, the first responders did determine that we have one decedent on scene.
Police and the state fire marshal's office now working together to figure out what exactly went wrong, but they say the explosion itself seemed isolated.
It's very early on. Yeah. It does seem to be that there was a barrel involved or a tank involved, and possibly it was isolated to a container of some sort.
Investigators spending hours on scene before the body was eventually taken from the scene. They say at this point, the name of the victim isn't being released. And so there is an autopsy scheduled for the victim tomorrow on Thursday. The state fire marshal's office tells us they should have some more information and details for us once those results are finalized. We're live in Ware tonight. Imani Fleming, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that report. RNC chair visits New Hampshire to recruit Republican poll watchers. Let's take a listen to that report from WMUR News 9.
Have I got news for you? It's coming to CNN this fall. Pros and cons list.
Pro, hosted by Roy Wood Jr.
Top GOP brass in the Granite State, RNC Chair Michael Whatley making a stop on a tour of key swing states, urging Republicans to sign up to be poll watchers this November.
We need to protect the vote. We need to protect the sanctity of the elections.
Multiple polls since the 2020 election have shown more than half of Republican voters nationwide believe President Joe Biden's win was stolen, despite no evidence of widespread voter fraud. Whatley, who echoed some of those claims of fraud in 2020, says one of his goals is restoring trust in elections.
I think the biggest thing that we're concerned with in 2024 is making sure that everybody has a base understanding of what we're doing to try and make sure that we have election integrity programs in place.
Whatley's also praising New Hampshire's new voter ID law. It requires first-time voters to prove they're a U.S. citizen while registering. Plus, anyone heading to the polls will now have to show an ID. Now, this law doesn't go into effect until after the general election this November. That means the earliest it will be affecting voters is 2025. But the chair of the RNC says this should be a standard for the rest of the country.
I will say nationally, we definitely support that, and we're seeing a number of instances across the country where legislation is moving forward like that.
Democrats, including the New Hampshire Dems, are also launching their own poll watcher trainings ahead of the election, with some states starting their early in-person voting as soon as this week. Ross Ketchke, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that report. Senator Maggie Hassan introducing a bill aimed at strengthening northern border security. Let's take a listen to that report from WMUR News 9.
Senator Maggie Hassan is introducing a bipartisan bill to strengthen security at the northern border. If passed, it would require Homeland Security to do a new study on northern border threats and update its strategy based on the results. Hassan says those threats are constantly evolving, and the last study was done in 2017.
Okay, and there you go on that report. Building fire shuts down Back River Road in Bedford. Let's take a listen to that report from WMUR News 9.
Hey guys, right now Back River Road still closed down as first responders try to get this fire under control. You can see behind us both police and fire departments from here in Bedford still hard at work. We can hear, because we're pretty close by, hoses putting down water on that fire. We can't quite see that house from where we are right now. So far, this is the closest we've been able to get to that scene, but we want to show you that video again, shared to us by the person who lives just next door to where that fire was happening. You can see that towering column of flames shooting up from what that neighbor tells us is a barn that's been burning since about 9:30. He tells us those flames also even touching the trees that share their property line. He and his family got out of that house. We also were told that the people who live inside of the house where that barn is are okay. They were able to get off the property safely. Here is that man who sent us this video of those flames, who tells us he's the person who picks up the phone to call 911.
Wow, it was blazing. It was probably 100 feet up in the air, and all the trees were getting very quickly fire.
And again, the road's still shut down here in Bedford while firefighters work to get that fire under control. We can smell that smoke from here back to the trees. We can still see that column of smoke, not the same kind of flames that you saw in that video, but still lots of work for first responders to do here on the scene. Live in Bedford, Ross Ketchke, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that report. Former Portsmouth police officer arrested after fight receives suspended sentence. Let's take a listen to that report from WMUR News 9.
A former police officer charged in connection with a fight last November is receiving a 30-day suspended sentence. Aaron Goodwin was found guilty of simple assault. A disorderly conduct charge was thrown out. Goodwin also take part in anger management and perform community service.
Okay, and there you go on that report. That's a look at your local news. Now let's take a quick look at national news. Dozens injured after a wagon overturns in Wisconsin apple orchard. Let's take a listen to that report from ABC News.
With meals for just $7.99, Panera doesn't make you choose between a good deal and feeling good about what you eat. Our melty chicken bacon rancher and mouth-watering Fuji apple chicken salad are now only $7.99 each. Hurry to Panera, because this feel-good good deal won't last.
During a field trip today in the town of Lafayette, several children, along with parents and chaperones, were on a wagon ride through an apple orchard. It was off public roadway. During the time, one of the wagons began to lose control as it was descending on a hill. They attempted to stop the wagon from descending down the hill sideways, and it abruptly overturned. When the wagon overturned, there were multiple injuries to both children and adults. There were 3 patients transported with life-threatening injuries. 5 more patients transported with serious injuries. 9 more additional patients were also transported by ambulance, and at least 1 patient was transported via helicopter. Some of the patients were transported in personal vehicles. The sheriff's office responded, as well as the Chippewa County Emergency Management, immediately notifying the Hospital Readiness Coalition about the incoming patients. During incidents like these, it is imperative that we focus on the safety of the victims, as well as reunification efforts between children and their parents. I personally went to the scene and assisted the children in calming the children, as well as reuniting them with their parents. It's every parent's worst fear. Things like this are things that you prepare and pray to God never happen. Hopefully it never happens again. But I take a lot of pride in our staff and all of the efforts that we had, that we collaborated with. And just know that in the face of tragedy, Chippewa County Public Safety works together to ensure that everybody's family is safe.
Okay, and there you go on that report. We're going to switch gears now, and let's go into your weather. And let's take a look at your weather for today. Today, mostly cloudy, slight chance of a rain shower, high 79 degrees, winds northeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight, overcast, slight chance of a rain shower, low around 60 degrees, winds northeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. And tomorrow, overcast, slight chance of a rain shower, high 67, winds northeast at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Currently fair and 62 degrees right now. And let's take a look at the traffic and see how your traffic is looking like on this Thursday morning. And taking a look at your traffic right now, 93, not too bad of a ride on 93. 293, not too bad of a ride as well. Nice smooth sailing ride there. 93 around Bobe, Concord, and Pembroke. Nice smooth sailing ride. 393, a nice smooth sailing ride as well. Route 4, you got a pretty nice smooth sailing ride with a few little areas of medium-paced traffic. Route 16 of the Spalding, nice smooth sailing ride with some medium-paced traffic as well. And 95 from Maine through New Hampshire, you got a really nice smooth sailing ride with medium-paced traffic as well. 101, not too bad of a ride as well. Nice smooth sailing ride. A little bit of medium-paced traffic around the Exeter area, but not too bad of a ride there. That's a look at your traffic. Now let's switch gears and go into sports. And in sports, Red Sox, they had a game yesterday. Final score of that game was Boston Red Sox 2 and Tampa Bay Rays 1. The Boston Red Sox won the game yesterday. Boston Red Sox are 76-76, and Tampa Bay Rays are 74-78. Red Sox and Rays, they have a game tonight at 6:50 p.m. Let's go Red Sox. Hopefully they can win tonight's game. And that does it for your morning edition of WRMK Morning News. Thank you for tuning in and listening. Have a wonderful Thursday. Goodbye.